reference to slaves so long so forth as not modified or declared void by a decision of the Supreme Court. So help me God. That's the amnesty oath. That's right. We know I tell them because they want something, because y'all don't let somebody sit at home and print you something. And I'm like, a scam is a scam. Here goes more of my paperwork. By the powers of the decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious prophet noble Drew Ali to register all nobles under the house of Bay to their title of nobility, pursuant Leviticus 25 and 10. By the powers of this decree is ordered and commanded by our illustrious prophet noble Drew Ali. Moorish Americans are of the royal house of Judah, descendants of King David. Fee simple absolute deed. Fee simple absolute deed. If we're going to tell the truth, let's do it all. The inhabitants of Africa are descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old man Cush and his family are the inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the dominion of Maxima. You know, the first true and divine name of Africa. What you say, noble? You have been warning us, nobles. This is why we support you. I keep doing this over and over. I'm not going to change. A clean glass ain't going to change his stripes unless you're trying to hustle the people. I ain't trying to hustle the people. I'm trying to build. That's why I ask for donations to build. The dividing of the land between the father of son, the dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, many of the brethren from Asia and Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle in the inhabitants northwest Africa. They were the founders and are the true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren, who sojourned from the land of Canaan, seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabited extended from northeast, southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even into the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake, which caused the great Atlantic Ocean, Moors. So I'm put that aside. Let me see if it's time to open up my doors. Yeah, it's time to open up my doors. Hold on, let me open up my doors. Let me break out the next paperwork. Hold on. So, you have been warning us. No, I've been doing this for a long time, I know. But people be acting like I don't know what. So, now I'm going to talk about, let me see what I got here. My 720 dispensation and my noble decree. This is my 720 dispensation. This is my 720 dispensation. See, this all come with it when they be talking about they Moorish Science Temple of America. I'm like, man, you lying. That's all fraud. And I show y'all I don't have nothing to hide. And this paperwork don't mean nothing either. If you can't defend who you are from righteousness, 720 degrees. Dispensation. We the supreme grand body and council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. It don't say no Moorish Science Temple of the world. It don't say no and some sundry more act. We know all that, but that ain't the language. That ain't Moorish Science Temple of America, which our prophet established. Deriving its powers and authority from the great God Allah and his prophet noble Drew Ali, whom Allah has sent to redeem his people, the fallen sons and daughters of the Asiatic nation of North America. The said Supreme Grand Body and Council is authorized and empowered to initiate and confer degrees of said temple upon any person or persons duly proposed, qualified, and approved in accordance with the established forms, usages of the laws and edicts of the illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America, its jurisdiction to administer to all true members all the privileges and benefits to all Muslims of the West. Noble K. Goodman Bay. See, so when somebody print you something, it ain't real. Noble K. Goodman Bay, 720 degrees, is hereby granted dispensation of the said depth as here to the vast estate and express trust of Noble Drew Ali. The domain of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. Old man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa, who came from the land of Canaan, pursuant to U.S. Department of Justice, capital BM, $ capital HR, 1WD, 144-35-0 agreement. Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Adept Chamber, 1440. You see, when people be talking, you see at the bottom of what when Moorish be talking, you see what at the bottom of my stuff say? Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Adapt Chamber, 1440. When I say when my tassel become 24, when I show y'all the higher degrees. But Moorish say they Moorish Science Temple of America, they should know this. Because it is a 1440. Yeah, I hope y'all know that, right? That's the 720 and 7. Come on, man. I'm telling y'all, I'm doubling up. I'm giving y'all high science, but whatever. So this is my noble decree, my 720 Allah decree. So let's read that. We the Supreme Grand Body and Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America. Moorish Science Temple of America. Didn't say no Moorish Science Temple of a world with no Sundry Moore Act or all that on it, with a whole bunch of fake flags on there that don't mean nothing. Ain't no expiration date on our IDs. We the Supreme Grand Body and Grand Council of the Moorish Science Temple of America grant sovereign powers by the great God Allah and his illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Greetings to whom this may concern. By the powers of this charter, listen what I'm saying. What charter? My stuff through the temple. When people we talk about charter, I'm like, man, look, whatever. So if people say they Moors and they Moorish Science Temple of America, if you nationalize what they always talk about, if nationalization is the order of the day, I don't care if you made your own group. If you say you were Moor through the temple and you created something, your stuff should be like this. Listen what I said. You can be a Moor and create your own thing. That's fine. But if you say you a Moor and you got some charter and warrant, you should be nationalized through the temple. If not, don't say that. Your stuff should be the same if you say it's Moorish Science Temple of America. If you say you're a Moor through the temple. Because we all Moors, but are we Moorish Americans through the temple that our prophet set up, which is our right? That's what we got to be clear of. And I'm not saying nobody's better than another, but when we portraying something, we must be clear. Because if somebody's teaching the teachings of our prophet, they'll give you all the info. To whom it may concern, by the powers of this charter of warrant and dispensation. By what? This charter of warrant of dispensation. This Supreme Grand Body bestow a title of nobility to member Kari Hakim Goodman Bey, that is descended from the royal house of Judah and the house of David. By the powers of this decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali, agents of the Christian Church, Vatican, or any other corporations in the Roman Curia cannot molest, trespass, or violate our divine rights granted by our great God Allah. Because we're talking about the Constitution once again. By the powers of this decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali to register all nobles of the house of El to their title of nobility pursuant Leviticus 25 and 10. By the powers of this decree, it is so ordered and commanded by our illustrious Prophet Noble Drew Ali, pursuant to our authority, all Moorish Americans are exempt for prosecution except for murder or rape. But I hope y'all understand what that is. That ain't like you finna go do a crime and you finna go get off. That ain't what that's talking about. So I'm just showing you all paperwork that comes with it. Instead of somebody making you some fake card and you think that's gonna save you, and this ain't gonna save you neither if you ain't right. This right here is my my house of Bay, my title of nobility, my 720, my Moorish American Muslim. You don't see a whole bunch of them fake flags on my paperwork, do you? You don't see no flag with no tree, all that garbage. You don't see no Moorish Science Temple of the world. You don't see no Sundry Moore Act. Somebody just made some stuff up and just made some people some stuff and portraying that as Moorish Science Temple, which is garbage. But who am I? A fraud is a fraud. Fake passport, fake IDs with auto toxin and all that stuff. That's all garbage. And I'm telling you, Moore's gonna go to jail. Our prophet said, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. We are for love, truth, peace, freedom, justice. And y'all Moors getting let somebody print you some fake card, promulgating as the Moorish Science Temple of America. That's fraud. 720 Allah. May the blessings and protections always be upon the house of Bay. Title of nobility, certificate, Noble K. Goodman Bey, registered of the Noble House of Bey, a descendant of the Royal House of Judah. The Royal House of Judah. So stop playing with me. I'm telling you, all that language is fat, it's false. All them called with auto talking, first people. That ain't the language. That ain't the language. And if a Moorish talk about the Moorish Science Temple of America, that ain't specific. We're Moorish Americans. We're Moorish Americans. But we want to use those names, all those names in a dictionary, but those are general. Just like when you look up in the 1828 Webster Dictionary, and it says the Americans are the copper color races. Well, it's a plethora of copper color races. But what is the copper color races nationality? You see? So let me show y'all something else. All this stuff come when you go do things the right way. This is my Moorish Science Temple of America. This is my baptism certificate. It got my redeemed surety bond on it. File number 117, Washington, 25 DC, the Pentagon. Secretary of Defense, full agreement, October 12, 1953. Confirmed August 2nd, 1966. I ain't got to lie to Moors, man. I'm going to show y'all everything. That's why I tell y'all, remember, it's not a crime until somebody enforced the law. It's getting ready to happen. I'm telling you, it's getting ready to happen. The law is getting ready to be enforced. The law is getting ready to be enforced, y'all. I keep telling y'all, watch. And watch all this stuff. Watch all these. When I tell y'all, I'll be like, oh, he in jail. He in trouble. He looked after the domestic terrorists. Oh, he looked after the domestic terrorists. He looked after the domestic terrorists. You know? Watch. I'm telling you. This is my baptism certificate, my name and all that, my national name gave at birth, and then at the bottom of it, my birth certificate, surety bond, and all that stuff. Our CCRD number, the CCRD number is 10105905. Baptism is coming back to the ancestor. That's right. That's what I be telling people. That's right. When they portray about Moorish science, they think about some baptism and some water dunking. I just shake their hand and walk away. That's why I be laughing. That's why I be laughing. On our paper, our status, remember, our nationality is Moorish American. Our race is Asiatic. But I tell y'all, it's a thing to understand. The status, free white person. Remember, because black or white ain't nothing but a status thing. I hope y'all listening to the proper verbiage. Let me tell y'all, watch this. The baptism certificate, listen to the language. The address, Chicago, Pulaski Road. Name given at birth, Khari Goodman Bey. Free national name given at baptism, Noble Khari Goodman Bey. True race, Asiatic. Nationality, Moorish American. Religion, Islamism. My date of conveyance, the day when I accepted my nationality. The CCRD doc number. A doc number is nothing but the 10105905, which can be looked up. Our status. I said status. Status is free white person. Status. I didn't say your race. I didn't say your nationality. I said status. I hope y'all clear. The date of baptism and all that. One that possesses this baptism certificate has been redeemed by the illustrious prophet Noble Drew Ali and delivered by a fee, simple absolute deed that restore all rights and property. Said persons has been revoked from the St. Peter's Trust and the Magna Carta Christian enrollment that held my person in bondage. I am a Muslim of the West, a descendant of the Moroccans born in American. We, the Supreme Grand Body, bestow privileges and benefits and grant dispensation of said persons by the birthright and original inhabitant of North and Southwest shores of Amexima. You see the 1010 number on the bottom? With these more just be making up garbage. But we ain't got time for that, man. Put a clean glass next to a dirty glass. And we just gonna let the chips fall where they may be. That's why I am who I am everywhere I go. And then remember I told y'all Moors be making up some Moorish American consulate and they ain't gonna tell y'all the truth. So, Moorish Science Temple of America, International Consulate of American Moors. So when only Moorish consulate is just like a consulate or the head or something. Not know what people be making up. Because I showed y'all the consulate, it ain't the more that been over. But we talk about the consulate that's over a body. Right? I'm telling y'all, right, Moors? For Khari Goodman Bey. Our Department of Defense, the file number 117, resolution to make amendment to religious corporations, affidavit of organization, document the 1010 number, whereas Moorish Americans are trust corpus of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali's 1928 fee simple absolute vast estate, irrevocable express trust, whereas Moorish Americans are the fiduciary, the trustee, and the beneficiaries of all said trust property. I hope y'all know what I'm saying. Whereas we are the Divine Moorish Consulate post for the affairs of the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali and the Moorish Science Temple of America. The Moorish Science Temple of America just posts the affairs if it's real. Here go my certificate of adoption. Here go my certificate of adoption. Here go my certificate of adoption to the Moorish Science Temple of America. Here go my certificate of enrollment to the National Bureau of Vital Statistics. I don't gotta, it's just what it is. So when people want to say stuff, I'll be like, okay, whatever. The Moorish Science Temple of America, International Council of Americas, the ecclesiastical body politic, and the local government, Moorish Bureau of Enrollment and Affairs, Moorish allodial title, title deed, commercial affidavit of conveyance, adoption, and enrollment. So, like I say, Moors, y'all want to let somebody get you caught up in all that? Just some paper, print you some fake cards, and it's not coming with all your paperwork. What I just demonstrated, doing things the right way. What you are is part of the domestic terrorist squad. I promise you. And the laws is getting ready to come down. Why? Because I told y'all, we defend the Constitution. We defend the Constitution. And I'm finna show y'all, our prophet said, beware of Moors, because they'll send you back in slavery and they have you doing illegal stuff. And I'm telling you, and everybody that's doing that, printing them cards, all you doing is what you did is made a trail. A trail. Y'all follow me? A trail. A trail for the task force, the internet police, just like they got the drug task force. They got this so-called black sovereign citizen stuff. And every Negro on the internet talk about they making fake cards and they making you some Moorish American ID. They know it's not a Moorish American, the Moorish Science Temple of America. They know it's not. Why? Because everything about the Moorish Science Temple of America can be looked up. And so if you want to self-identify, you might as well do that on your own. But when somebody is portraying something as it's part of something and using numbers and using all that stuff, man, Moors, that's fraud, Moors. That's fraud. All that stuff is fraud. All that stuff is fraud. And Moors still be talking about somebody finna make them a Moor. How can somebody make you a Moor? That's why I cringed when I saw that this morning, on my page, and I had to delete the Empress. Look at my baby. He got his nationality papers to become a Moorish American. And I'm like, how do you become a Moorish American? Who finna make you something? Who finna make you something? That's why I said all Moors should first be educated on this first. And then I told Moors we a charter a bus and we go do things the right way. But Moors are twisting things, man. You twisting the teachings. I told y'all that dirty Moors have been busy burning our people, just as our prophet Noble Drew Ali warned that they will take this movement down so low it will disappear from the face of the earth. And you Moors won't know what I came to do. And here we got years later, Moors falling for this garbage. When we had a moderator, it was Robert Love L. He went on record in the Fourth Circuit Federal Court of Corporate Government of the United States stating that so-called members were not Moorish Americans and never a part of the Moorish MST of A. Follow what I'm saying? And this disposition would normally seem harmless, except it was a lie, laced with assumable identification, which combined members with nationality. This is what these Negroes doing. Listen, following this three-leader successorship of past moderates, beginning with the post Drew Ali Freemason named Charles Kirkman Bay, Love L2, claim to have the power to make Moorish Americans out of members, divine members out of sheiks, right? And adepts out of officials. Listen what I say. To make a man as one can make a mason is the practice of Freemasonry at its most unscrupulous heights. To nationalize or to make or to denationalize any human is both a sin and a crime. No God, prophet, or grand man has the power to nationalize any man, woman, or child. And those that have taken away a man's or a woman's true identity are criminals. This practice gave the U.S. courts and outside world the illusion that the Moorish Science Temple of America was a religion whose members under the tenets were nationalized with the name Moorish American. Remember, I told y'all our prophet created the Moorish Temple of America as a civic group first, and then next he established as a religious group, because we were only 3/5 of a 5, and to be a complete 5 of a 5th, you had to have your nationality and spirituality, along the organizational marks of Bay and L. Needful to say, this nationalization, hoodwinking, was never empowered or practiced by Prophet Noble Drew Ali or any upright man. No man has the power, no woman has the power, no temple, no Negro has the power to nationalize another man. This would change him from the descendant nature of his forefathers. Think about this. If one can nationalize a Moorish American, one can also make a Chinese or an Irish or a Sudanese at will. You ain't ever thought about that? But they only can make you something. Why they don't take that to the European that's a Bosnian American and say, oh, you can claim your nationality? But see, they can't. They only gonna bring that to you. I hope y'all follow me. I hope everybody has a right of a nationality and a right to change it. And no one will be arbitrarily deprived of a nationality and a right to change it. And the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. Obama told them Negroes that in 2010. We talk about law. We talk about the right of a nationality. Man, y'all better really look up what nationality really consists of and stop playing. This act brought a light of 75-year practice of clandestine cultism to the temples. You know? As a charter organization, I'm going to repeat this. The Moorish Temple of America, the constitutional limitations are restricted to only teach its members their nationality and divine creed. That's it. Everything else is garbage. So when the Moors talk about they teaching Moorish science, I'm like, what our charter and our warrant say? Because if you don't have no expertise on business and law and everything else, you need to sit down. We are restricted to only teach its members their nationality and the divine creed. That's why I said the RICO finna hit the fan. Because if you saying that you're a Moorish Temple of America, they're going to say by your charter and they're going to say by your bylaws, what are you restricted to do? Only teach its members their nationality and the divine creed. Everything else is fraud. And this is the only way for it to live out its purpose, the uplifting of fallen humanity. From its inception to 1913 to the Noble Group was never intended to be recognized as a national government, an Islamic sect, secret order, or religion. Yet today, the Moorish Temple of America is widely known and accepted, just like they try to reduce my science from a prophet of Allah to some called Mason Shriner. And I said, I am the shrine. Our feather is the most highly respected headdress in the world. So I'm gonna leave that I'm gonna leave that like that. I'm gonna leave that like that. Y'all see this? So when a Moor telling you law or they telling you something and they lying to you, talking about this Moorish Temple of America, it's not, because they don't even know the language. They don't even know the duality of words. They just making stuff up. They don't know the duality of nothing. I don't hide nothing from you. It's right here. This is how the temple is set up, legally and lawfully. Anything else is just somebody making you something. Do you see any other different flags on here? All you see is the red flag with the green star and the American flag. You don't see nothing on here. You don't see no flag with no tree. You don't see no other fake flag. You don't see no Sundry Moore Act on there. You don't see no expiration date on none of my ID cards, man. I'm telling y'all, man. So y'all can keep playing all y'all want to. Any questions? Any questions? I'm going to answer a couple questions. So I'm going to log off, and then because they're going to cut off, and I'm going to log back on, and I'm going to answer a couple questions. Hello.
Hi.
How can we help you today?
Yeah, he needs to pick up his suit.
You got it altered already, sir?
Yes.
Yeah.
You got your alteration ticket, sir and ma'am?
This is our original receipt. My daughter might have the alteration ticket.
Rolando, give me 1 second, okay?
Okay.
It's already altered, right?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. If they just gave you a hem and they ironed your shirt and everything so it can be ready to wear, do you want to try your pants on? She, like I said, she just gave you a hem. It should be perfect.
You don't need to.
No, it should. Thank you very much.
Is the shirt in there too?
Yep, the shirt is in there pressed. His shirt staying in the front, and the groom always to give out the ties. We used to give them out individually, and a lot of guys would show up to the wedding and forget their tie. So we let the groom have that pressure.
She told us he was going to pick
And
it
then,
up.
and then also, I had my daughter bought the
Collar extender?
Yeah. And they're
Oh yeah.
perfect. Thank you.
Okay.
You're welcome.
Okay.
You're very welcome,
Thank
sir.
you.
You guys have a great
Thank
day.
you, you too.
You're welcome. All right, hold on. Question and answers. I got to get me a smoothie real fast, y'all. I'm gonna ask you a couple questions real fast. Q&As. Let me go get me a smoothie. Hold on. So I said I'll do a couple Q&As, man. This will be the part 2. I'll just answer a couple questions and just keep it simple. Any quick questions, man? Anybody got any quick questions? I'll answer some things to the best of my ability. I'll never tell you what I believe, because you should care less of what I believe. You should care less what I believe. Right? Any questions, man? Like I said, I answer any question real fast, the best of my ability. So I'm seeing if anybody got a quick question. Anybody? Anybody got a question? I'll wait. Got a couple more minutes. Better take advantage of this while you can. Man, what, man? Who do you get your car? Come on, man. Noble, come on, man. You see that? Noble, what do you mean? Who do you get your card from? Come on, Noble. You shouldn't just want a card, man. You shouldn't just want a card. Yeah, we'll talk about that more. Inbox me. I'm gonna show you. I got some new books coming in. Stuff I want to keep. I'm gonna show you about the Moorish and the Jew connection. I keep telling you. I remember the Igbo and the Igbo. Yes, but what do okay, answer the question back to me. When you ask a question, I like to answer questions back. What do you mean? What type of card do you want? And why don't you want to know the signs before you can get a card? Like I said, when it's courting someone, when you get into a relationship, do you jump for marriage? Do you say, or do you want to know that person? You want to get to know them. You want to see if this the right person for you, or do you want to just jump before that and say, okay, well, let's go become a union? And this is all I'm saying. We can jump the gun, wanting something, wanting a card, and instead of really seeing, is it significant? And what is it back behind? Doing the research first. Hold on. So, I hear where you're coming from, Noble, when you ask, where should we get the card? Well, let me see. You said, thank for the donation, Noble. You said, who do I get my card from? And then you said, and then And then he said, some may have the question. That's great. Brother, this question is for the people who watch this video later. Shaking my head, LOL, not for me. Okay, that's good, but noble. But do we understand the analogy I just gave? Like, I try to give analogies I want us to think first and not be excited, not be gullible, think we finna get something that's finna make us free. That's what I want us to be careful of, Noble. I'm on YouTube too, James. And a couple people asking questions. I want the people just to ask some questions. And these are all great questions. But you see what I'm saying? And so it's just like when you're in a relationship. Do we jump and get married? Some people do jump and get married. And then they realize, they're like, wait a minute, man. I didn't research this. I didn't take my time. I didn't do my due diligence. Just like in the court of law, there's no excuse of not knowing the law. So we didn't do our due diligence to examine the person, to examine the man, to examine the woman, to make sure this is what it is. So it's a process, and we cannot skip the process. It's a thing in academia called prereqs. Do we know what a prereq mean, Morris? Do we know what a prereq is? Do we know what a prereq is, Morris? A prereq. When I'm saying we want a piece of paper before we graduate mentally. And then if we graduate mentally, we might be like, wait a minute, man. Okay. The Moorish Science Temple of America ID, once you figure out, is just for the Moorish Science Temple of America. But proclaiming, declaring to have due process is another thing. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali set up the temple. Our Prophet Noble Drew Ali set up the temple for misnomer Negro, blacks, and colored, misnomer Latinos and Americans to do one thing. So if the next question, I'll be telling Moors about the AA22 number and the duality of it, where 30,000 Moors must proclaim, declare, and have due process. And if the temples are set up the right way, it should be 30,000. That's the first question we should be asking before we should be asking, where do we get our car from? Because my answer to that is through the Moorish Science Temple of America. One that's chartered the right way, or one that's going to give you all the paperwork that I have. You got to take your time and go. See, a lot of times we ask questions instead of figuring out. Man only understands what he knows. Because I can say a whole bunch of stuff. I can say you get your card through me, and I can have an ID card machine printing up a whole bunch of stuff. It don't mean nothing, and I'll never do that to people. You see what I'm saying? So the first thing we should be doing is figuring out who we are, figuring out history, figuring out law. The first thing we should be doing is proclaiming, declaring to have due process, because a card is not going to give you the wisdom. A card, just like now, a card is not going to give a person the wisdom of what it's about. So a person that's not educated properly with the Moorish science and nationality, what will a card actually do for you? Let me tell you what it'll do for you, and I'm not just saying for you, what it'll do for a lot of people that's not educated properly on the holy and divine side and the national side, and what our charter consists of, and what we are obligated to only teach by our charter, because the constitutional limitations are restricted to only teach its members their nationality and divine creed. That's number one. If you say you're Moorish Science Temple of America, it's our constitutional limitations. So that be my thing. What do a Moor think that a card gonna do if they're not properly educated on the science? If one, a Moor don't have a card right now, and I'm just using in general, and he's not proclaiming, declaring, and having due process, and using his Bay or L next to his birth name. See, these are the first things we must do. When I say getting cards and all that stuff, that's fine. But we talking about a thing that called, what is the thing called a self-identifying? It's different forms of self-identifying. And one form of self-identifying is verbally proclaiming, declaring, have due process. I know Moors that want an ID card so bad, and as soon as it's time for them to fill out something, they filling out white. They putting white. And I said, that's your status, or they putting something else. But that's the thing. It don't have to be one in every state. This is what I'm saying. Because this is the Moorish Science Temple of America. So this is what I tell people. And the rest is subordinate groups. All the temples should be set up the right way. It can be some little different quirks, but the temple should be set up the right way structurally. It should be things that's read over there every time. The governor should be set. It's certain structure that all the temples set up the right way. You know? And that's what I'll be saying. When we talk about a Moorish consulate, everything should be done the right way. Our paperwork should be the same. If not, then we got to come back to the table like, where start breaking at? and what's going on. Because if it's the Moorish Science Temple, and if it's only one Moorish Science Temple of America and the rest subordinate temples, your charter should be right. I just demonstrated all my paperwork. Everybody's stuff should be the same. Our ID should be the same. All our stuff should be the same. And so if a Moor every Moor, they say they Moorish Science Temple, you should have all this. You should have this. And you can't make, and if you don't have it, then you need to ask, you need to go back to your so-called sheik or whatever you want to call them and ask them. You should have your fee simple absolute deed. You should have all this stuff. So when the Moor try to act like they're this or they some official of the Moorish Science Temple of America, I come right back at them and say, okay, well, it's only one Moorish Science Temple of America, and then it's subordinate temples. So everybody should have the same thing. From my Muslim decree, like I just broke all this stuff down. My 720 dispensation, and then you see on the bottom is our Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Adapt Chamber 1440 on the bottom. I got something else to go through. My tassel changes to 24 inches when it becomes 1440. But hey, it is what it is. So I just want to be clear on some things. When a person is just saying we got a Moorish Science Temple of America in our area, is it the temple that's just chartered through our prophet? And are we doing the things the right way? Is it the temple? Is it the true temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America? That's what we gotta ask ourselves. Because if it is, then it's no secret. If it is, everything should be set up the right way. If it is, we should be teaching the right things in the temples. If it is, everything should be taught the same in the temples. My baptism certificate, I demonstrate everything. This what I be saying when I be asking Moors, when they be saying this Moorish Science Temple of America. I ain't talking about what somebody say. I show you my my amendment paper, my ecclesiastical body politic and local government, my Moorish Bureau of Enforcement and Affairs, my certificate of adoption. Everybody should have this. And that's all I be saying. My certificate of enrollment. If you say it's Moorish Science Temple of America. If you say it's Moorish Science Temple of America. Because it's nothing secret with me, man. That's what I be telling Moors. It's like, we'll see. And that's all I say. We'll see. So if the temples are set up, if it's a temple in a person's area and they say they part of the Moorish Science Temple of America in their area, well, they should be nationalizing every Negro, black, and color in their area. Every Moor that's part of that temple. Like, say if I was in your area and I'm coming to your temple, I'm on the corner every day. I'm in front of our temple every day saying, come one, come all. Misnomer, Negro, black, and color, be nationalized to the Moorish Science Temple of America. I'll be telling everybody, I'll be calling all the temples like, hey, we need to get 30,000 so we can take this to the world courts. Right, Moors? See? Right? But we want some ID. You see what's on the back of my ID cards? This should be on every Moor that says Moorish Science Temple of America. It should say Moorish Bureau of Vital Statistics for registered Muslims, for you can be looked up. And on the back of these cards is vital information. And if a Moor say it's not, they lying. We got a travel identification card with the 1010 number on it. We got a national card, and we got a tax exempt card. Every Moor should have it. We got a tax exempt number, don't we Moors? If they say they part of the Moorish Science Temple, don't we Moors? You don't gotta lie to nobody, and you should know it. You should have it. If you say you Moorish Science Temple of America, you should have it. If you say you should have 3 IDs, and you should have all the stuff I have. You should have your ID card where you can go to any temple. Come on, man. Tell the truth. Tell the truth, man. And that's what we don't want to do. I'm telling you, man. And I don't even carry this stuff. I don't carry this. There ain't no reason to. Ain't no reason for me to carry it. Ain't no reason for me to carry it. And that's all I be saying when people promulgate, when they saying it's Moorish Science Temple of America, and then I do a full demonstration, and then the first thing they do, they get scared. They start telling me who they are and this, that, and the other. I said, man, that ain't the question. You saying it's Moorish Science Temple of America. And I'm saying, okay, if you Moorish Science Temple of America, it's some certain things that you should know. It's some certain things you should understand. It's some things that are constitutional limitations that are restricted in the temple is to teach our members their nationality and the divine creed. So if it's Moorish Science Temple of America, my demonstration, I show and improve. I show all my paperwork. I show it over and over and over. And the paperwork don't mean nothing if you ain't right. But when people say it's Moorish Science Temple of America, and I say, man, no, it ain't. That's Moorish science, something that you made up. When I say I'm a Moor through the temple, I created my own school. I created my own school. I show my paperwork. What gives me the right to create my own school? I told you, I'm a Moor. So when people say they got temples in the area, yeah, you might have a place in your area, people gathering. But be truthful. If anybody, our prophet said, if we don't do anything, if the temples don't do anything, man, claim your nationality through the temple. If you don't do anything, wear your turban and your fez. And here it is, it's so-called Moorish science temples in certain areas. And then you got people in the city, Negro, blacks, and colored, that's not Moors and wearing their fezes. What's the problem? Let me tell you the problem. Because these fake sheiks acting like they some god, telling some people, oh, they gotta wait to send it through some fake adapt chamber. And I'll be laughing. And I'm like, man, okay, well, what's the adapt science? When I talk to these fake sheiks, they don't have none. I say, what's the triple road to the adapt chamber? They know any science. They talk about a whole bunch of old stuff. And I'm like, well, how are you going to send somebody through the adapt chamber and you don't know any adapt science? So only thing you teaching the person is nothing. So the person that you taught, they know the same thing you know. Nothing. Any more questions, Moors? I know Moors that don't even have the Moorish Quran. I know Moors that don't even have the study guides. Like, huh? There's so much literature and so much ancient science Moors don't have. I ain't even start bringing out a lot of my old books. Or I just be connecting the science. Moors don't even understand to discover the key to the Moorish questionnaire. Like, it'd be so many books that I got about Moorish science. A lot of Moors don't even have. And I'm like, why not? I'm like, why not? Y'all temple should have a full library. Just like when I be talking about how the temple set up, when I start talking real, and I'll be like, look, man, no, he lying. Be like, no, she lying. That's a lie. That's a lie. I'll be like, no, that's a lie. I'll be like, no, that's a lie. Because in Moorish science, a sheik is an adept. In Moorish science, a sheik is an adept. Now, there's plenty of adepts all over the world. But in Moorish science, a sheik is an adept. You can't just give yourself no title. And here go the Holy Nation State, the Moorish Science Temple of America, by the Moorish Consulate Post. Exactly how the temple is set up. Understanding the duality of words, so nobody can get you caught up in those games, printing you some paper, telling you it's Moorish Science Temple of America, and I'm telling you it's not. When I break down the definition of state and a duality, state is a people permanently occupying a fixed territory, bound together by common law, habits, and customs into one body politic, exercising through the medium of an organized government, independent sovereignty, and control over all persons and things within its boundaries, capable of making war and peace, and of entry into international relations with other communities of the globe. What individual person can do that? Not one. A political unity. Concretely viewed, a state is a body politic possessing sovereignty. Any body politic possessing sovereignty is entitled to be called a state. Are y'all hearing me? Are y'all seeing all the power that our prophet did and duality of what state is? It's good characteristic to be described in the Moorish Science Temple of America. The people described in the state would be described as the members of the Moorish Science Temple of America. And by definition of state, the fixed territory of our state would be northwest, southwest, northeast, and northwest of Maxima. The common law habits would be focused towards our practices in chapter 32 of the Heard Smith revised status of the state of Illinois. By definition of state Moors, the character would who would have independent sovereignty in our state is the Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali. Our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali is a true sovereign. Moorish Science Temple of America is a sovereign body. We are not sovereigns, but members of a sovereign body, politic and corporate. In comparison with the term state, now we got to look at now we got to define the term body politic. Body politic is defined as a social compact by which the whole people covenant with each other, and each citizen with the whole people. The all shall be governed by certain laws of the common good. Also a term applied to a municipal corporation, a school district, a county, a city, a state, or a public association. I hope y'all follow me. So when you're looking at the term government, you can see that the term has a connection with the term state, body politic, body corporate, and we can understand the similarities of these particular terms. So when we talk about government, it derived from the Latin term gubernaculums, which is defined as the system of polity in the state, that form of fundamental rules and principles by which a nation or state is governed. Polity is the form of government, whether theocracy, federal anarchy, etc. There are many forms of governments, but this particular form of government that the Moorish Science Temple of America is known as a what? Theocracy. A theocracy is defined as a government of a state by the immediate direction of God, or by the assumed direction of a superstitious divinity, or the state thus governed. And as members of this body politic, Moors, if you say you Moorish Science Temple of America, we recognize the Creator God Allah alone guides the divine and national movement. A theocratic entity differs from a form of a secular entity, Moors, and the Moorish Science Temple of America is a divine and national movement that has divine and holy laws that each member are to uphold and preserve, and if they are to earn the name of faithful as afforded by Act 7 of the Moorish Divine Constitution and bylaws. Right? Right, Moors? Somebody talk to me, right? Right, Moors? Somebody talk to me. Moors that said it's Moorish Science Temple of America, don't get mad at me for shedding light on stuff. I'm illuminating stuff. You should be wanting this. We should be wanting illumination for the origin of state. The Moorish Science Temple of America was established as a religious corporation by filing the affidavit of organization, document 1010-5905 from 1010, recorded in the recorder of these office in the county of Cook, state of Illinois, on August 1st, 1928 AD at 2:52 p.m. At the time, through the affidavit, our Holy Prophet Noble Drew Ali gave birth to a free national government as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate under the revised status of the state of Illinois, chapter 36, section 36. So you got to check out the science of July 20th, 1928, was the third day in the beginning of the new moon during the sign of Virgo. August 1st, 1928 was the day of a full moon. So it's a lot of stuff that's symbolic. So when I talk about the Heard-Smith revised status, chapter 32, do we understand that science, Moors? Well, I'm going to break it down. It's an act concerning corporations, section 36, Religious Corporation Act. It played a huge origin on establishing the Moorish Science Temple of America as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate. So how can any subordinate temple, just like when they say it's temples all over in this area, so how can any subordinate temple of the Moorish Science Temple of America not operate under the Heard-Smith revised status, chapter 32, section 36? Because this act clearly states that, and I repeat, any church, congregation, or state formed for the purpose of religious worship may become incorporated in the matter as following. Our prophet crossed out elected, and he put appointed. You got to understand why he put appointed, because there should be some under your fez or your capital, according to the usages or customs at any meeting. You know? Yeah, I got all the fezes. What you say? Haven't listened to you much from your content yet, but I have to say your gear and the fezes be on point. We do it all. I'm self-sufficient. I got my own suit store. I ship out suits to Moors. I'm self-sufficient. I wouldn't got an education to attract things to myself. That's what this is all about. It's nothing honorable being poor and broke. That's what I tell Moors. It's like, I don't know what Moors be getting this stuff from. But chapter 32, section 36, because this act clearly states that any church, congregation, or society formed from the purpose of religious worship may become incorporated in the matter that follows. Our prophet crossed out elected and put appointed, according to the usage, customs at any meeting held for that purpose. 2 or more trustees, warden, or vestrymen, or such officers whose powers and duties are similar to those of trustees, as shall be agreeable to the usage, customs, rules, or regulations of such congregation, church, or society, and may adopt a corporate name, and upon the filing of the affidavit, as hereafter, provide it shall be and remain a body politic and corporate by the name so adopted. See the precedent case number, P.A. 81-1509. So you can see, Moors, when you study this Religious Corporation Act, and then you glance at the affidavit of organization, which is the original form number 1010, you can see that our Prophet Noble Drew Ali followed the substantial form for this revised status, and then expressly organized a ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, known as what? the Moorish Science Temple of America, by that name so adopted. And this simple pamphlet, this simple wisdom that I'm telling y'all, is going to illuminate all the confusion and foolishness of those who say our prophet did not establish a nation state. They lying. You know? Many people might ask, how was this body politic and corporate duly established? And the answer is by filing in the County of Cook Recorder of Deeds office an affidavit substantially expressed by our prophet, Noble Ali himself being the presiding officer. He sworn that the meetings of the members was held, blah, 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 you know, and having the sheiks duly appointed, anointed, and consecrated. Look what appointed, anointed, and consecrated. That comes with something. This instrument is well known as our authority, but it's really the title of affidavit of our organization, Moors. And by definition, Moors, an organization can include a wide range of entities. An organization is defined as, I told y'all earlier, a corporation, a government, governmental subdivisions, agency, trust, estate, partnership, association, two or more persons having a joint interest, or any other legal or commercial entity. So when I go deeper, in order to organize as an ecclesiastical body politic and corporate, at that time, a church, society, or congregation pursuant to the law of the Hurd-Smith revised status of the state of Illinois, the affiant had to file in the office of the recorder of deeds an affidavit substantially in the following form of the Hurd's Religious Society Act of 1872, Chapter 32, Section 36, codified by the General Assembly, 805, ILCS 110-36, from Chapter 32, Paragraph 165, Section 36. I ain't gonna go over all that, but y'all know what I'm saying. You see how we can correct all the teachings? I'll show you all original stuff, how our prophet set the temple up. It's nothing to hide. It's nothing to hide. I'm telling you, people lying. That's all. And I don't want to go all into it, because Moorish that say they Moorish Science Temple of America and they nationalize through the temple, they should share this with everybody, so it won't be no confusions. You should be sharing this. You should want to share this. You know, according to paragraph 164 of the Hurd Smith, there shall be two or more of its members as trustees, wardemans, and vestrymen of such officers whose powers and duties are similar to those of trustees. I don't want to go all through that. But these sheiks were Noble Drew Ali, Mealy El, Mali Bey, Lovett Bey, and Foreman Bey. And all these sheiks were and are governed officials as well as sheiks now. That's why our prophet crossed out elected and put appointed. So now we got to look at the term appointed. Appointed means to assign authority to a particular use, task, position, or office. And this is also why our prophet used the term appointed. Power and authority was given to those sheiks who were anointed, appointed, and consecrated missionaries of the prophet. Those who want the power and authority will have to go through the prophet. So what types of entities were appointed? The answer is persons. So you got to notice that the term person on the affidavit of our organization was in all caps, as most people will ridiculously express. You don't know that what you did? Yes, we do. Sheiks are what is considered interest persons, which include hearers, devices, children, spouses, creditors, beneficiaries, and any other having a property right or in a claim against a trust estate or estate of a defendant or a descendant, ward, or protected person, which may be affected by the proceedings. And y'all not understanding what I'm saying. When I say you are a business, you better operate as one. It also includes persons having priority or property for appointment as personal representatives and other fiduciary representing interest persons. The meanings as it relates to particular persons may vary from time to time and must be determined according to the particular purposes of and matter involved in any proceeding. So the context of whatever case or whatever is going on. To act on the behalf of a person, you can carry out and enforce the functions of that person, right? In a court, when you talk about when they say somebody's over your estate per se, but under the state of whatever, you were authorized by them to act as an agent, as an agent. All our lives, we work unknowingly under a fictitious person that was given to us by a state of the United States. And this person is basically viewed as an image or a mirror reflection that was constructively created and held under their construction trust. And U.S. citizens are only third-party entities that receive certain privileges and benefits in exchange for protections afforded by the U.S. Constitution. But if protections resort to stealing your birthrights and inheritance, then why would you love being a so-called U.S. citizen? What I'm saying more is that the 14th Amendment citizens are beneficiaries of the constructive trust of that state. And a constructive trust is a trust that was constructed by an act of a party, the 14th and the 15th Amendment. So if you don't know the laws that hold you, then you won't even know that you were even held and it's still being held. But the secret is there is no secret. It ain't no secret. And the person is not you physically that you are holding, but a descriptive person that you act on behalf of. That's why you got to take the time to understand trust law when I talk about trust law. And this is the key: holding property and land with protections granted by the truster. You can't be a trustee without a trust. Can you, Moors? You can't. So what's the point of having sheiks in such a responsible position with no trust? I'm telling you, man. I hope everybody okay. Our prophet brought us everything. He brought us our nationality, our religion, our title to our vast estate. It's our requirement to show that he did indeed have an intent to deliver the vast estate to the Moorish American descents. We were living all up and down in Mississippi, man. Any questions? That's why I ask Moors, you got to read your one-on-ones and understand them. Your children should understand them. What's our nationality? Moorish American. What is your nationality? Moorish American. You know? We got to know this because we are descendants of Moroccans born here in America. You are what your parents are without a doubt. Just because you change your face, no, it's your birth name. Your inheritance is your bloodline. Your blood don't change. You can change your face like Michael Jackson's. What'd you say? Did he bring nationality or just remind us of it? How can noble, listen, how can a person bring something that was someone here way before them? He brought us back to our remembrance. We were Moors. It was people that was Moors before our prophet. Our prophet created the Moorish Science Temple of America. Our prophet never said he established nothing. That's why I be saying what he said. He said he gathered and compiled and divinely prepared. Our prophet never said he did nothing. Our prophet said he gathered and compiled and divinely prepared. Our prophet said he brought something back to us. Our prophet said he brought something back to us. And that's what he said. Our prophet didn't say that. Our prophet didn't say he brought us nationality. We had nationality. We were stripped from our nationality. The African nationals were stripped from their nationality, doing a so-called prisoner of war, a slavery per se. That's what I'm telling us. And I tell more, before the 1600s, before the Civil War, who are you called? You were called Moors on paper. This would I be stating clear. And people try to put things on people and try to say what our prophet did or try to say he's some God. No, he never said that. He's an angel of Allah, just like I'm an angel. So I tell Moors, words mean things. Our prophet say clearly, I done demonstrated this a million times. Our prophet never said he was the originator of anything. Eliseus, even the Quarian Gospels, he wasn't the originator because all that comes from the Akashic records, the Moorish Akashic records. Even the science from Unto Thee I Grant, it tell you where the science come from. The Moorish Akashic records, and they give credit to the original thought. You see what I'm saying? So we don't get caught up in those games. We were a people way before our prophet. When I talk about Abdul Hamid Solomon, when I talk about Deuce Muhammad, when they came to New York and the European Masons were trying to talk about they were Mason, they was like, no, this is our science. Come on, man. We were Moors, but our prophet created the Moorish Science Temple of America as a body politic to create something for us. To let us know about our nationality and spirituality, what was stripped of us from slavery. So how can our prophet didn't write no constitution? That's why I be telling Moors, I'm like, man, we be wanting fezzes and we be wanting IDs. And I talk about the Constitution and the laws. I'm like, our prophet didn't write no Constitution and law. Our prophet is defending the Constitution and the law. And that's what I'll be telling Moors. I'm like, man, I don't really think Moors be listening to nothing I'll be saying. When I talk about the 3/5 clause, we need to know the law. We need to understand the 13th and 14th and the 15th Amendment before anything. We need to know that. We need to know all that. We need to know the Dred Scott law. Hold on. Thank you for calling Nick's Word. Free speaking. I'm gonna help you. Just a 3-piece suit, jacket, pants, and vest is $220. If you want a shirt, tie, and pocket square, jacket, pants, and vest, it's $260. And you have to pay for your alterations. It's usually just a $12 helmet. That's all you need. Yes, sir. Of course. And so the first thing we need to be educated on is local law, state law, and international law. That's the first thing, which is civics. If we ain't understanding that, we just gonna be asking a whole bunch of questions and doing a whole bunch of what I like to call it having pissing contests. And that ain't helping us. That ain't helping us. When a person say, well, I believe this or I don't believe it. I don't care what a person believes. I deal with law. And law and truth has no sides and history has no sides. I deal with that and I keep it pushing. But this how I know when people asking things, they just want to ask stuff and they don't care about who they are because we asking things. And I'm not saying you. It's like we just asking things and I think we know the answer to that a lot of times. We be wanting to see what a person can say. So we be like, well, see, or see this, or see this, like this is some debate. And that ain't what this is about. But when I talk about the Emancipation and Proclamation of 1863, it did not free a single Negro, black, or colored slave from the legally binding slave laws of 1779 in the United States Constitution 3/5 clause. You need to know what the 3/5 clause. However, not the same can be said of the 13th Amendment of 1865. You need to know what that is first. And this is the first of the 3 Reconstruction Amendments. You need to know what a Reconstruction Amendment is. Did in fact abolish the institution of slavery, which would left an open door of the freedom of the all African descents in North America. So you got to understand is that the 13th Amendment was the great and only document of manumissions. So you need to know what a manumission is, ever enacted by the Congress of the United States. And although the 2 sections ratified were just watered down versions of the 20 sections originally proposed, just 1 section was needed to free all American descents from their mental slavery and constitutional bondage in the United States. So you need to know all this stuff before we trying to say this and that and the other. And when I talk about the true 5/5, you need to know what the true 5/5 is. Your spirit, your soul, your body, your nationality, and your creed. We need to know all this. And number 4 and number 5, which is your nationality and your creed, were the 2 main fifths extracted from the African nationals, which is the Constitution. We got to know this. This is in our Moorish Quran. Belief, faith, and fruition. Chapter 7, verse 25 to 31. So it's a lot of law when I talk about the 13th and the 14th and the 15th Amendment. And what your and some rights or amendments or whatever you want to call it. The only way you're going to know what's right and what's valid is to study law and to study international law. And that is the part of the science, of the civics of the Moorish science. Thanks for calling this news break. Speaking, how may I help you? Well, yeah, she just do our own merchandise. We don't do outside merchandise. I can't think of her name, but I think it's called Precision Alterations. It's right across the street from me. If you Google Precision Alterations, it should be right across from the Park Place Plaza Mall, and she can help you out a little bit more. I have her card, but I can't think of her name of the place. Yeah, she does good. Yeah, she does good work, depending on how much you need to be taken out, But yeah, she does good work. I would give her a call. I'm not sure if her name is called Precision Alteration. You're welcome. Yep. So I'm done, Moors. But you see what I'll be saying, man? I don't mean any disrespect or anything to any of my brothers or any of my brothers that's, trying to be lift out a shallow grave. But we have to be educated on a lot of things first. We have to be educated properly on a lot of things first before we just start jumping in things. And if we're not educated on the law first, the law protects us. I break down the law. I break down the international law. Understanding the 13th, the 14th, and the 15th Amendment. Understanding that no one can nationalize you or denationalize you. Understanding that if the Moorish Science Temple are set up the right way, they should be nationalizing every Negro, black, and colored. Yes, it's a small fee. It's a small fee to pay because the people are doing the work to do that. But after that, that's it. That's it. And everybody should be registered on the more vital statistics. And then once we're in 30,000 Moors all across the states, which if it's so-called Moorish Science Temples all over, and they're chartered the right way, come on, man. We should be out just like the so-called Jehovah Witnesses. And then the temple's right in the hood. The temples be right in the hood. I ain't seen no temples in so-called Black History Month going around talking about they nationalizing people. I ain't seen none of that. I ain't seen none of that. And we want something. So any more questions, man? Cause I'm done. Any more questions? I'm done. We getting caught up in the wrong thing. I keep telling Moors want fake cars. Damn, no, but you are absolutely correct. Man, I don't be trying to toot my own horn like I'm not no know-it-all. I done been in this game for a long time. I know all the scams. I know every scam out of Moor. I know the language. When I see them fake ID cards with some Moorish Science Temple of the World, with some sundry Morak on it, with some, you got some expiration date. I'm like, and I just demonstrated everything I just demonstrated just now. All this I just demonstrated. I showed you all the paperwork. I showed you everything that's valid. Man, come on, man. And then nobody got the right to make no card talk about his Moorish Science Temple of America. And you ain't a Moor through the Moorish Science Temple of America with your right charter and warrant that I just displayed over and over and over. And if these temples are set up the right way, and if it's a temple in your area and you a Moor, you should be able to go right there and they should be nationalized you. They shouldn't be trying to get you under their religious dogma if they ain't teaching the science. Any more questions, man? Cause I'm done, man. Any more questions? I keep telling Moors, I'm like, man, y'all gonna get caught up and watch what's finna get ready to happen. The RICO getting ready to happen. It's all fraudulent concealment. These Moors using these numbers, and I told y'all, I just showed y'all all my Moorish ID cards. I showed y'all them 1010 number is an affidavit that can be looked up in the county of clerk. That's how our prophet set up the Moorish Science Temple. So how can somebody sit at home and put some 1010 number on some fake card, not knowing that was used as an affidavit in the county of clerk to set up the Moorish Science Temple of America? So if somebody printed that and put that on it, that's fraud. Watch. And then I just showed you, y'all what on the back of my Moorish ID, the Moorish Vital Statistics, the Bureau of Moor Vital Statistics. It ain't nothing on the back of them ID cards. I just broke down everything what it means. It ain't nothing on the back of it. It shows you that you're a registered Muslim. I broke all that down. Hell yeah. Man, look, man, I keep telling y'all, the government, the task force, this stuff is real. I don't know. They call them Moors the Black Sovereign Movement. Man, when I saw all the Moors on there, it's some Moors on the internet that a lot of Moors got on their page on there. That's why I told one of my nobles, I said, don't send me that. Because when you part of something, when Moors want to take pictures and photo out with you can be caught up in the whole grouping. They don't got to say, they got to just point the finger like, yep, he was with it. Just like the RICO calling hustling. You ain't got to get caught with no dope. All the person got to do is say, yep, he was with me. And you don't get caught up. Now you got to go in there and defend yourself. Now you got to prove who you are. Now you got to prove everything you saying is valid. Now they're going to have all that internet stuff you was posting about some expatriation and about some de facto government and about this, and they're going to have you arrested as a domestic terrorist. They got your plate number and everything. I seen it with my own eyes. And I told Moors, I'm here giving a divine warning and a message to those that understand what I'm saying. No individual can sit at home and make you some damn plate. What is connected to? And then all the plate numbers got the same number. That's just like everybody got the same social number per se, or the same tax exempt number. And then somebody gonna make you a passport with Michael Jordan and the Leah and all that stuff in there. Then they try to talk about it worked kinda. That's garbage. How can I get nationalized legally? Noble, I'm gonna walk you through. Noble, remember, it's two things that we gotta remember. Remember I told y'all about law. I'm breaking down law and the rights of the indigenous people. What did Obama tell us in 2010? I break this law down every time. If you want to do things the right way through the law, where when I say, okay, well, hypothetically speaking, forget the Moorish Science Temple of America. If the Moorish Science Temple of America wasn't established and the laws protect us, and we understand what's on the Liberty Bell, on Leviticus 25:10, and then we understand law, we understand law. Remember law. What did Obama tell us in 2010? If you understand law, if we understand international law, because I keep telling y'all, we defending the Constitution, we defending law. So throw Moorish Science Temple all out there. What did the law say? What did the law say, Noble? That question you just asked. And I break this down every time. What did the law say? What does the law say you have the right of? What does the law say? Somebody break that down. What does the law state? What does the law state? What does the law state? And I see how I be saying everybody be want something, like they want a piece of something and they think that piece of thing gonna do something. It's not gonna do nothing. But that's right, Declaration of the Rights. But what did the state? What did he state? Obama, what did it say? Obama told him in 2010, we been talking about Obama ain't do nothing for black people. You damn right. Because in the court of law, black and law and science, in that context, in science and law, you should know black mean dead. So hell no, Obama didn't do nothing for black people. What he did for Moorish Americans is told you that you had a nationality and a right to change it. And no one would be arbitrarily deprived of a nationality. And a claim of child replaces the birth certificate. So once you heard that, if your ear would have been listening, the next thing you should have been doing as a Moorish American, and one, as the flesh of my flesh, blood in my blood, forget Moorish Science Temple of America all out. We talking about self-proclaiming, identifying. Why you ain't do that? Because you got an ID from the government. You got a driver's license. So why you ain't self-proclaim yourself then? You see, I wait. Because this is what I be saying. Because all Moors be talking this stuff. But what about this? But the laws say that you have a right of a nationality. So if the laws say you can do this, why you ain't go correct your status through the laws? I wait. Because see, Moors be trying to get caught up in a conversation like this is a debate. I don't have time to debate with nobody. I'm not finna debate with nobody. I know a lot of brothers that's Moors and they claim their nationality, they ain't part of no temple. So if all this stuff that I'll be reading, all these laws I'll be reading, the 13th, the 14th, and 15th Amendment, you have a right of a nationality. So what y'all waiting for? You finna get some fake ass ID from some Moor like that's gonna prove something, and he ain't connected to nothing. I keep telling you, the laws protect us. What Noble Joe Ali did with the Moorish Science Temple of America and with the Moorish Bureau of Vital Statistics, they did the work for us. If the temple is set up the right way, that little bit of work is done. The temple's done that work. That's what you pay for when you get your ID card and all that, and your dispensation papers and your birth certificate and your baptism papers and your decree papers, all that. And then you should be registered under Moorish Vital Statistics if the temple is set up the right way, because that's our what we like to call it. That's our census. That's how we count of us. How? Through the Moorish Vital Statistics. It's our Census Bureau, right? Come on, man. I'm breaking down international law, right, Moors? Right? See, this stuff is too simple. This stuff is too simple. Around the back of our car is the what? Moorish Bureau of Vital Statistics. For what? Registered Muslims. For what? Registered Muslims. For 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 registered Muslims. I just read what a state. I just broke the duality of what a state consists of. I just broke all that down. That's why I be saying, I be like, man, I don't even think Moors be listening. That's why I be like, man, in a minute I'm just gonna be gone and I'm gonna be in Europe and doing what I'm doing, teaching. I just broke all this down. I just broke all that stuff down. I just broke it down, man. I just told you that no one has the right to nationalize. No one has the right to nationalize you. And they only bring a fraud to the Moorish community. If they can nationalize, why they ain't nationalize a Sudanese or a Chinese or a Bosnian? They can't. If nationalization the other day, because white don't mean nothing. My Bosnian homeboy claimed his nationality. His ID say Bosnian American. You see what I'm saying? The only way to get out the fire is go through the fire. Our prophet just did a solid for us. If the temples are set up the right way, what he did, he took out a lot of the work. If the temple was set up the right way, but you can do a thing individually. If everybody like to say the temples is being infiltrated, okay. Well, then you should be, as a person that understand law and understand business, okay, go above and beyond that. And then that's why I said we like to talk. We a log, we pointing. So you can correct yourself. The laws tell you. You have a right of a nationality and a right to change it. And no one will be arbitrarily denied of a right of a nationality. And the claim of child replaces the birth certificate. Proclaim, declare, and have due process. So the next question, brothers and sisters, as Moors always want to argue, why you ain't corrected yourself and your family? Because the law said you can. You wait for somebody, you wait for some goofball at home with a ID card machine talk about they finna make you a Moor. When I saw that on internet, man, I had to delete the Empress off my page. She got some paperwork off the ID talk about they got their nationality papers that they finna claim, they finna become Moorish Americans. And I'm like, how you finna become a Moorish American? And you already are who your foremothers and forefathers are by birth, without a doubt. We confused on stuff. And once we are confused on stuff, we spend our finances on things that's going to do us no good. And at the end of the day, what's going to happen is we're going to be, how can I say it, looked at as domestic terrorists, because the Moors think that's backed by something, and it's not. It's not Moorish Science Temple of America. It's somebody that's printed you a card. And if you want a card, just a card, you might as well make one yourself and self-identify yourself, because it ain't a part of nothing. It ain't part of no body politic. Where's the body politic? It ain't one. Because it ain't part of the Moorish Science Temple of America that can be looked up. Any more questions? I'm done, man. And you see how we just want something. We want something like, okay, we want a card to do what? What we gonna do with it? What you gonna be flashing out? What you gonna be showing? And our prophet said, your card is for your salvation. Failure to obey these orders will be a severe consequence. What's a severe consequence? You let somebody make you a fake ID card, you pulling it out, and you going to jail. That's a severe consequence. You're going to be looked at as some domestic terrorist. You think those ID cards from the Moorish Science Temple of America replace something, and it don't? It don't? Come on, man. Any more questions? Any more questions? You got time to be playing no games with nobody, man. Any more questions, Moors? Come on. Keep them coming. I got to look. I'm going to come about 15, 20 more minutes, and my employee going to get here. They supposed to be. We supposed to be. Yeah, I speak on all that, man. I speak on that's history. That got to do with the fake Louisiana Purchase. When I told y'all, when I went to Louisiana to the museum, I got the map of the fake Louisiana Purchase, and I show y'all Morocco and Jerusalem all right by here. We supposed to be getting our info from me. I don't know. That's why I be saying when Moors want me to keep going with the teachings, man, I have to slow down the teachers because we going too far. I can give y'all school ID, just like you get an ID from the a college or university, but that ain't no Moorish. That ain't no Moorish American ID. That ain't no Moorish American ID. Members gonna get ID cards after I see that y'all in this for a minute. I'm not finna make everything for a person and then we're not paying our dues. We're not being obligated to what we supposed to do. That's gonna be a couple months down the line. And then if Moors want to correct their status through the Moorish Science Temple of America, I told y'all, we all go to the Chicago. We go all to Chicago the right way. I charter a bus. I meet everybody in Chicago. I call all the proper people, and we'll call out all the frauds. We'll call out all the frauds by name. If they're gonna be on some fraudulent stuff, we'll call them out. We'll call them out. We'll go to Chicago. We'll do things the right. We'll call them all out. We'll do it the right way, and then we can speak validly on it, like, oh, they lying, this, that, and the other. But until we do that, we can't say. See, I almost did it prematurely before I went through the temple. I saw them Negroes, and one of my elders had to call me. It was like, no, get your stuff and then create your own. Because I was looking at them clowns. And right now, they still clowns. No disrespect. They still doing the same thing. What? Nothing. Talking a whole bunch of stuff. Nothing. But yes, I can make more school cards, but at the end of the day, what good is that? At the end of the day, what a card gonna do for you? Honestly. At the end of the day, what an ID card, what a school card gonna do for you? What would it do? What would it do? Because you get books through me. So what else are we gonna want to do? I'll wait. You see what I'm saying, Noble? We want a lot of stuff, cosmetic stuff, but we don't have it here. It's the teachings. You can get some paper, you can get some car, you can get all that stuff. You can be a part of a body, a part of a schooling. But if you don't understand the wisdom, and if your family don't understand the wisdom, what a card gonna do? But yeah, I'm gonna give everybody an ID if that's what they want, if that'll make us feel better, you know. But I thought it was the science, man. Just like when I see Moors don't even study. But like I be asking questions of the assignments that I gave. I gave the assignments last week, and then it's like, come on, man. We just want to keep going, like we trying to get an A on the test. That ain't what this is about. We trying to perfect ourselves. We're trying to be better Moorish men, better Moorish empresses, correct our family, start building, start using our finances to build, start educating, start teaching, changing ourselves, what we eat, what we think, how we love. That's what this all is supposed to do. Not you being part of this and you be the same selfish, ungrateful, not giving gratitude, not honoring your empress, being cheated, being a cheater, being lustful, still dressing up like a dressed up monkey and not supporting the real body. Come on, man. But we want something. Talk to me, Moors. Talk to me. Y'all, any more questions? Any more questions? And we can log off. Any more questions? Islam Moore, tell me, brother, where is the land property of the Moors? What land property of the Moors? We look at the Native Americans. They have casinos and land. You said that they don't have nothing. But listen, go on my page. Me and my empress and a couple of my family members, we got 40 acres in St. John's, Arizona. I'm getting ready to get 40 more in Ahwatukee, Arizona. I told y'all the same thing the prophet did back in the day. He used his funds. Our prophet used his funds to do things. I use my funds. I got a whole storage unit with 15,000 books and manuscripts. I got press machines, stitch machines. I make all my hats. Go on all the hats. I got wholesale license. I buy the hats wholesale, print my own stuff. I got t-shirt machine, press machine. I got the book machine, the print press to print all my books. I done self-published 20 books already. I done self-published 20 books already. A lot of my books are on GCU college campus. So I use my own funds. I don't beg nobody. When people be like a beggar nation or going around begging people, say, look what somebody else doing with their money, or look what Jay-Z doing. What we doing with our money? I know most Negro, blacks, and colored and Moors finna get that little change back from their so-called income taxes, and they gonna spend it all on designer stuff, and they gonna go on trips, and they come back just as dumb as before you went. And buy a whole bunch of clothes for our kids and be right back in the same boat. And we talk about we don't have nothing. We have the funds to have something. We have the funds to have something, but we don't use them wisely, because in our community, we don't talk, all we talk about is religion. But see, I talk about nationality, health and wealth, business, economics, agriculture, finances, understand the business, all that. How you going to be self-sufficient and you don't have no land? You don't even have no storage unit with water and supplies. Where? When Morris be talking about some vast estate, I'll be like, okay, so where's your stock? Where's your garden? You don't have one. So if something happen right now, you can't even go on your land. I got my whole trailer up. I can go right up on my land right now, my 40 acres, my trailer. Chartered off. No trespassers. I can ride my horse with my shotgun on my back, with my fez and my cowboy boots. Grow natural. We got our own water well out there in St. John's, Arizona, man. So that's what I spend my funds on. I don't know what the other people got, and I'm like, the people with me, that's why I use my funds to create my own. That's why I use my funds to when I can show people, when I say I'm a living example, and I show people I don't need a whole bunch of clothes or a whole bunch of fake designer stuff. I wear things that mean stuff. But I know I invest. And I invest in myself. And I deal with those that invest with me. Like I told Moors, a lot of my supplies and stuff, a lot of Moors don't deal by them. Like books and stuff, I got a couple Moors that get books through me. Fezzes, I got all different people buy fezzes from me, by the hundreds. T-shirts and stuff, other nationalities, because I'm a businessman. Because Moors be looking at my pocket, and they don't understand that I'm the most giving person ever. All these high schools and stuff and elementaries, who y'all think go to them for free out here in Arizona? Me. I go and teach the so-called misnomer black and kids of color. I go and teach them under my organization. If they can't give me my offering, they draw the rest up as in-kind service. I go teach our babies and give them literature and tell them that they're not Negro, black, and color. And tell them that their history didn't start in no 1700 and no damn slavery. And I show them that they was all over. The ancient and modern Britons, it was them. I showed them that it wasn't no dark ages for them. So that's what I say, man. I'm not here to hustle nobody, or I don't use nobody offerings like to pad my pocket. I don't live off this. Allah has blessed me with a sound mind, so I do things to attract to me. But I created the Burning Bush Tabernacle, Moorish Science Temple and School to show more that if we do things the right way, and Moorish let me teach systematically, and Moorish send their donations in, man, we can have our big building, a whole plaza with all the stuff, our Moorish studios, our Moorish smoothie stuff, everything, the temple, everything. We can own land. I'm telling you, we have the laws protect us. And that's why I said, once I get 100 Moorish, that's 120,000 a year, only by $100 a month, which is $5 a day for 20 days. At the end of the year, you get a tax-exempt receipt. We don't got to complain about the churches. We got the rights just like them. So we should be using our funds, putting our funds, and creating what we want, just like everybody else. And the laws protect them. And we want to talk about everybody else, but what we're doing. I'm right here. All I need is the people. All I need is the people. I'm a real organization. We're taxes in for the federal government. That's charitable, religious, scientific, education. We got the same rights as the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, all that. The YMCA, all that. We can set up an act for charitable contribution, just like the Boys and Girls Club, just like what they call it, whatever they call it, you know. And that's what I tell more. I'm transparent. Like I'm transparent. I show everything. But I'm out of here, man. I got to finish doing what I'm doing, man. I need more support. Y'all talk to me. Let's do this right. Let's build. Let's get the people. And let's get our big building. Islam.